Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Let me get a one in the chat for the first people that get in here. Because I started the stream in a area I think might be a dead zone. Maybe, maybe not. So let me get a one in the chat for those that hear me. Okay, so um, this is not so much a response, but a I'm just gonna give my thoughts on these things, right? And feelings. Oh yeah, we're using the F word here. We're using the F word, the dreaded F word in the Black manosphere. Feelings, right? Feelings. And yeah. So um, shout out to Obsidian. Obsidian, the brother Obsidian reviews Six the Goddess reviewing the video of the two brothers that were wearing red and were sitting on, I want to say, that white couch. And it was a younger brother speaking about how he doesn't lack manhood, and I guess a more older brother. He wasn't old, but an older brother, who was kind of, you know, I want to say mentoring, but kind of, hey, we need you to step it up a little bit. That's not man. $14 an hour is not, exactly manhood. Now, we already spoke about that in the Black manosphere, but I want to put some numbers to these things because this is the first time I got to listen to the entire clip, at least as much as I think was the entire clip from Six reviewing, once again, Obsidian reviewing Six the Goddess reviewing this, right? So and Six speaking about, what's a turn on and what's not a turn on. Once again, both of the brothers were wearing red that were sitting on the white couch, but the one that took more of the mentor, not the mentee, but the mentor position, saying like anything pretty much short of 100% of, pay, I guess, providing the resources, is a lack of manhood, right? So what I want to title this really, once again, is what does manhood cost? So I guess this would be what does manhood cost, part two, because if y'all remember, we did a part one, um, when we spoke about what Jason Black, the Black Authority, was speaking about. Was that even last week or was that earlier this week? So I guess this is part two. Now, a growing share of women are important contributors financially to the household. That's number one. Number two, and I was looking for this. We've heard it before, but more and more men and women both say that a woman's financial contribution. Once again, this is beyond just Black people. This is Americans in general. A woman's financial contribution is important to the household. We have terms like DINK, right? Not DICK, but DINK, DINK, which is dual income, no kids, right? We have terms like that. We know that just about 40% of women earn more than their male counterparts in America. And with all of this, right? So now we get to see what hypergamy looks like at scale, right? Why does Mr. Z bring that up? We know historically only about 40% of men have been able to pass on their genetics, to the next generation. And someone correct me if I'm wrong. If it's 60% and I'm getting it wrong, it's not 40, it's 60. But from my understanding, about 40% of men have been able to pass on their genetics to the next generation, right? So if we know all of this, now we get to see what, once again, hypergamy at scale looks like. And, it doesn't look good for most men, actually. For most men. Not just Black men, but for most men. That also is going to have second order effects on women, right? I actually kind of want to merge other video that Khadijah did earlier today, and I caught it, at least not live because I think it was a pre-record that she put to premiere, but where it's called heteropessimism. I think I'll do a separate video on that. We'll do that maybe later on tonight. Hopefully later on tonight I'll do a video on that. I'll put the link in the description so y'all can check it out, and I'll put a link to the video to the podcast that she was referring to, also. So y'all check out for that. I probably put the link up and everything for that a little bit later. But it's called hetero pessimism. Anyway, um, so when we start scaling societally women's hypergamy with, once again, conspicuous consumption, this particular neoliberal, late stage capitalist version of capitalism, once again, obviously, white patriarchy, white hegemony. Um, yeah, it looks real ugly, y'all. So this is where the divestors come in, right? This is where the swirlers come in. This is where people like that come in. It's understandable, right? It's definitely understandable now. And for me, it's been understandable. Not even just now, but it's been understandable. That's why I'm able to translate. Shout out to Kevin C. How many of these women speak, right? When Six was speaking, and what Obsidian agreed with Six on, and Six and Obsidian make really good points when they were speaking about how the brother would take and I'm gonna, you know what, I'm gonna link Obsidian's review in the description after this video, after the stream. But when Six and Obsidian were speaking about the young man, the more mentee in the situation, being hyperbolic and taking things to its extreme, when the older brother or the brother in the more mentor position was attempting to speak to him, I agree with that. But Obsidian did say, and we've heard this also because, believe it or not, Jason Black has said similar, although it seems like he's kind of, sort of backtracking just a little bit, or if not backtracking, modifying or adjusting, if we'll say, just a little bit, because I think Jason Black realizes how dark and ugly this can get, and how, I'll just say, disgruntled young 20-something-year-old white man this could get real fast. If you know what Mr. Z is saying, you know, we won't say it out loud. You know, we're telling young men with internet access, y'all, this is not 2,000 years ago, you know, during the time of Rome, or 2,300 years ago or something like that, during the time of Greece. This is not, you know, those, this is 21st century high-speed internet, and these men are hearing, oh, I don't earn enough to have a family. Oh, so the right is telling me to John Henry, and this is for all men, quite frankly, but even black men, the right is telling me to John Henry want myself into some vagina, and the left is telling me, why do you want some vagina in the first place? Why do you, especially vagina that came out the vagina as vagina? Why do you want that in the first place? Right? Oh, it looks ugly. Oh yeah, it looks ugly. It looks ugly. Yeah, yes it does. Right? And so you have young men, particularly in their 20s, that are hearing what people are saying, and they're not exactly happy about it. And you know, hey, we know what that may look like every once in a while. And yeah, I don't. Y'all can try to socialize as much as y'all want. Y'all can put all the corn, we'll say. Y'all can put all the corn out there as much as y'all want, but this is a thing, right? Now, women's hypergamy and women's um, desires have been good at filtering out men throughout human history, filtering out men who are not up to par throughout human history. Wars have also done that, also because it's obviously took so many men off the board, and it pretty much forced women into choosing a smaller cohort of men than them, right? Smaller percentage of men than them. This is where you get women being okay with being the other family on the other side of town, right? Knowing, yeah, he ain't ever leaving his wife, and I have a kid or two from him, because once again, less men, right? Less men. So I gotta, you know, be honest about that, and you know, get in where I could fit in. If he could pay for certain things and whatever, then so be it. But especially in the West, particularly in America, because we haven't had these type of things in a while, because we've been pretty stable-ish for a couple centuries, minus a couple of minus a couple of wars, namely the World War One and Two. It's put us in a position to really see what men think about other men, what women think about men when it comes to race and class, right? Height and income and resources. And this is where Mr. Z comes in once again to the left. And you saw Khadijah do this with her video on heteropessimism. The assumption that intersectionality informs women in a way that makes them just a bit less toxic than the men. They're, once again, this is where we get into that believe all women type of space, right? And as Khadijah said, well, okay, just entertain us for a second. And I would say that to Khadijah, entertain for a second that women aren't these morally superior people that y'all think they are, particularly, Mr. Z, you about to say it, black women who assume that intersectionality allows for them to see the world more accurately and allow for them to seek justice more than men who, once again, just want power, who just want wealth, who just want to be able to show off to other men, right? Right? When in reality, what we're seeing more and more is that not so much, right? Not so much. So, I think this is something that we're going to really have to talk about in the Black Manosphere. That's why I'm covering it, right? Um, yeah, and I can't say. I wanted to say we just need to tell young men, particularly this, just straight up, like, hey, Negro, you don't deserve children, you don't deserve marriage, you don't deserve this because you don't earn enough. But I think we already are saying that. I can't. We're not overtly telling them. Oh no, we're not. But we're showing them through action. We're pricing them out of nuclear families. This is where the left comes in, and this is where Khadijah comes in and says, "Oh, well, it's your concept of patriarchy that's the problem, right?" Yeah, it's your concept of patriarchy, right? That's your real issue, particularly you men, because most of you men, you just want to show off to other men, right? So it gets real frightening now, right? Huh? You know, yeah. So I guess this is where, and I say it in jest, but I say it seriously, and I think many of you, if y'all could hear me, I don't know, I might be going in and out right now. I know I'm someone in the dead zone. If y'all could hear me, press one. But you know, I've said this multiple times. I think we need to make polygamy legal. We need to make polygamy legal. I'm not joking, right? Polygamy needs to be made legal because clearly the men with the resources, women are actually okay. They may not want to say it out loud, right? This is where we get into preferences and revealed preferences. Women are okay with being wife number 3 for men with resources, and I think that we need to put them to the test, right? And I think that's another. You know what? I'll review. I'll say it when I review the video, because I keep on bringing in the Khadijah video, and I don't want to kind of spend too much time speaking on that when this is what I really want to focus on. But yeah, right. So, well, right. So what does it cost to be a real man when we know that 40% of women earn more than their male counterparts? We know that an increasing share of U.S. families need a man's income. I mean, excuse me, need a woman's income to survive. Um, and the economy is structured that way currently. For the most part, we know that just about 75% of mothers work in America, so we know that also. Um, yeah, ain't looking good, right? Right, not looking good. So I think that's something that needs to be factored in. We have to have a real conversation about this. Um, I guess in the Black Manosphere, if we're gonna do this, I am man thing, then we need to start speaking to the young men now that come into the Black Manosphere at 19 and 20 and 21 and 22 and encourage them. And then also low key, that low key threat. We're like, well, Negro, if you can't do it like this, then have fun not having children and having a wife and a nuclear family. And if that's your goal, and for many it is, eventually to actually have a heterosexual wife, Khadijah, right? And children in a nuclear family, Khadijah. That's most men's goal, Khadijah. That's not just, and you know what? I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait. Show some discipline, Z. Show some discipline. Um, but yeah, so we find ourselves in this position here, um, because I don't think we were honest with young men enough. I'll say we're not overt enough, and we're not telling them. Historically, only about 40% of men have been able to pass on their genetic material and have children. So yeah, maybe we're back there now, right? If we ever left, but now y'all really know. And I think, let the chips fall where they may for how young men particularly react to that and respond to that, right? I'm not gonna lie, I think it's gonna be more of a reaction than a response, and I don't think it's gonna be pretty, but hey, right? We're full, you know, I don't know how much I'm with Darwinism or not, but I know it's a thing. I know it's real, right? Whether my shout out to BGS, my bleeding liberal heart fully agrees with it or not. I know it's real, so be it, right? I wouldn't call it liberal, I would call it left, but lefty, right? Or leftist, but okay. So, as Six the goddess was speaking, and she was speaking about how, it's a turn on to be around a man who has plans and beauty cost, which we know, and I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And the way straight up, let's call a thing a thing. The way it was framed is that if a woman has to lift a finger, you're putting her in her masculine. And as the man, he implied, but he did not fully say, anything short of 100% of anything short of the man providing 100% is not manly. You're not a man. So I guess this is where Dr. Tommy Curry's book come in, Man Not. And it's not just black men that's man not in this case, I guess, right? A good, 60%, something along those lines, a good 60% of men are man not is what it's looking like, right? Something along those lines. And Afro National says, and thank you for the super chat. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. I might be in a dead zone. What does manhood cost? Life, limbs, and life, limbs, and livelihood. Jesus Christ, Mr. Z. Let's say that again. What does manhood cost? Life, limbs, and livelihood. Yes. Excalibur says, Six told him to pay for play. Man, I mean, yeah, right. Yes, you know. So yeah, that's whew, hey, that's all it is, yo. Beginning end, that's all it is, right? Pay to play number one, yes, but also what it's like to be a real inward. And it has replaced man with inward, right? What it's like to be a real ninja, right? Well, a real ninja provides 100% of the income, and we already know, and all this goes back to is something, patting myself on the back. Shout out to Dr. Richard Reeves, even before his book of Boys and Men, his book Dream Hoarders, and that's why I walked into the Black Manosphere years ago, saying it, right? This is about the top 20 or so percent, top 20%, top 25%. They're hoarding all the dreams, the aspirations, the opportunities, everything. Well, apparently they're hoarding manhood also. Put that also on the list. And it's very interesting because the wives of these people sometimes are the most staunch feminists. Sometimes they're the ones who tell you, "Oh no, she could be strong and independent, and she don't need no man, and she definitely doesn't need some oppressive man who thinks he's just gonna bring in his wallet and he's gonna be able to take care of everything just because he has money." And like these women are with the 10 toes down patriarchs, right? Huh. It's real interesting when we live in a world where patriarchy is looked down on. Meanwhile, many of the women who look down on patriarchy have functionally patriarchal husbands, and they're living a patriarchal nuclear life in everything but name. In everything but name. And it'll make them cringe if someone like Mr. Z was to be like, "Hey, by the way, your husband makes final decisions. You trust him, right? He's tough on your son, right? He's a man's man. He's 10 toes down. He takes accountability and responsibility and lead for just about everything, right? Whether you work or not is immaterial, da 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 da." And and if I was to go through all the details and be like, "Yeah, guess what, Miss Feminist? You're living a patriarchal life." Right? You're living it in everything but name. And I'm particularly speaking about the top 20 to 25% of American households where these feminists, whether they're white or black, but particularly white, push to other women, working class women in particular, poor and working class women, all of this feminist theory while all they do is talk it, but they don't really live it like that. What am I doing tying that to what I'm saying about this review with Obsidian and Six the Goddess? If it's all about 100% resources, right? If your wife has to live a finger, now we're not saying if she works. We're saying if she probably needs to work, then you are not even just less of a man. You're not a man. You're a man in training. Are y'all fully prepared to stand on that and what it means for most men right now in the 21st century? And if you are, then are you okay for advocating for polygamy to be legal? Talk about being hyperbolic. He just went there, right? And if not, are you okay for somehow lobbying the U.S. government and making appeals to normalcy, right? Or appeals to morality, or any whatever appeal you want to make, all the logical fallacies, right? Um, for men to earn more than women somehow magically, because secretly, and maybe not so secretly, both men and women see men's income as crucial to marriage and relationship and child rearing and family formation, etc., etc. Right? Huh. Rest in peace. Take off. And Cheryl Bentley said, "Walk it like I talk it." Right? Huh. Right? Huh. So I'm all for it. I think that we should just be honest with the people, with young men, with men. Right? I said I wasn't going to say that. I think we need to be more overtly honest with them, not imply it or suggest it. Right? Speak around it, but overtly say it. On the right, hey, bro, you don't earn enough. You ain't no real man. And on the left, once again, you don't earn enough, so do this alternative male thing, right? Date trans, date pansexuals, date non-binary alternative lifestyle women, and maybe one of them isn't opposed to having a child with you, and then y'all go live y'all alternative lifestyle situation, that's probably not going to be marriage, and y'all make that whatever that is work for you. Right? And Trail says that's a that's a turd of an offer, we'll say. Right? How Obsidian say that's a sugar honey and iced tea offer. Sugar honey iced tea offer. And yeah, it is. The you don't make enough to be a man from the right, and on the left, you don't make enough to be a man, so do this other thing. Right? Horrible. And all I'm doing is reframing this because that is what they're saying. They're just not saying it like that. Both the left and the right. All I'm doing is reframing it and putting it in its shout out to Jason Black. Goddamn, I'm about to say it. In its proper perspective. Right? Because that's what the right is saying. Right? What it costs to be a real N-word, you don't earn enough, Playboy. You don't earn enough. Right? So you leave all the good, sweet vagina for those of us who can afford her and her sister. Oh well, goddamn, Mr. Z. Right? You leave that for us. You go watch Corn and go bust your butt to eventually afford one of these probably lesser XX chromosome, people. Once again, that's what the right is saying. And the left is saying, well, once again, you don't earn enough, so, come freestyle and do this other thing with any one of these non-binary, pansexual, non-gender conforming, right? LGBTQ, right? People. Because you're not, it's funny. These people low-key are okay with toxic masculinity if you arrive on the other side and you earn enough. if you were so bad that you earn and shout out to Nameless Protagonist. Like this is what Nameless was saying. If you're gonna go muhaha, go all the way muhaha. So that your power and your wealth is so undeniable that the women can't help but melt in your presence, even if low-key they have contempt for you. Shout out to Donald Trump. Shout out to Bill Clinton. Right? Shout out to all the conquerors and grapers and pillagers throughout, human history, who understood that you just got to be that ninja. If you're that ninja, and you're that ninja so much that you arrive on the other side of being that ninja, right? And I'm saying men in general, that the women will hate what you did to get there, right? And they'll still rock with you because they still want that bag, though. By the way, Khadijah, that's what you forgot to factor into your hetero pessimism, is like women's materialism and consumerism and all that other good stuff, and whatever. Anyway, we're gonna let that go because I said I'm gonna review it later. Right? Exactly, Lithium. Leonardo DiCaprio. All those middle-aged women, white women in particular, that are so mad at him because he refuses to choose a woman like them. Look, they talk all that crap about him on social media, but really it's because he won't choose a woman of his same age cohort, maybe a few years younger, so that they can live vicariously through her. And it's also the constant gut punch of them realizing that this 50-some-odd-year-old man is dating 20-some-odd-year-olds. Right? 20-something-year-olds that they used to be and look like. Right? And Mr. Shook to you says, and thank you for the super chat. And he says, hope to see you, Z, tonight at the C-suite. Yeah, I know about it. I know about it. Shout out to Black Uru. Shout out to the Roger Report. Right? Okay. And Trell corrects me and says 49. Leo and I are the same age. Trell, are you trying to tell us that you live in Leo's life too? Right? Trell say he live in Leo's life too, except he got a couple of kids. But Trell say he out here. I put in words in his mouth. I put in words in Trell's mouth. Right? Trell said Leo's not the only one that can snatch him some 27 and 26-year-olds. But so I am about being a bit more honest with the men, and I think that's where you get, once again, we're going to describe them without saying their name. This is where you get some of those disgruntled 20-something-year-old white dudes who commit some heinous acts. I think they wake up and they realize, wait a minute, oh, this thing is all the way rigged against men like me, which it's not, by the way. All right. Once again, you're a white man, so if it's rigged against you this way, then what you think it is for black men? I'm just saying. Toya said, Leo be minding his business, right? Exactly. And then white women be minding his business too. The middle-aged white women, ooh, they mad. Right? Cheryl said, I don't date over 35. Well, damn. Right? And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. But yeah, so we are having this type of conversation now. I think it's needed. I think our young men, I think we should actually be socializing them about this before they even become adults, before the age of 18, before the age of 19. But definitely as they enter adulthood, like, hey, bro, this is the new normal. You don't just get to have, and it's actually the new old normal. We back to business as usual. You don't just get to have children and a nuclear family just because you are a male. Being a man, unlike being a woman, is performative. Or the performance is more rigid and structured. A woman gets to do a whole lot and still be considered a woman. Right? But for you as a man, yeah, nope. You have to maneuver in this very narrow space that we say a man has to be a man. And don't believe those lefty people that say, oh, no, you don't have to do it that way. If you want children and a wife and a nuclear family, yeah, you do. Right? That includes even the women that you find attractive that's telling you, yeah, you don't have to do it that way. They don't mean it. Right? And by the way, if you don't perform manhood in this very narrow ass way, the women will filter you out. You'll be lucky to have sex. You'll definitely be lucky to have a child. And you're super lucky if you ever get married and have your wife in a home with you. And you're even more lucky if she never did any rainbow flag type of activity. If she never participated or partook in any rainbow flag activity. Right? Huh. And that's on the left. Don't believe these kind of conservative Christians, right? These tradcons that tell you your manhood was ordained by God, because no, it's not. It's very performative. Trail, nothing. I mean, it's not Trail. Sorry, Indigo. Indigo, nothing. Nothing. And Indigo Flow asked, and that's exactly he knew what I was trying to say. Exactly, Indigo. And Indigo Flow says, right, what can women do that makes them not a woman? Nothing. That's the double standard of it all. Nothing. Right? That's why once again we have a term called red pill rage, and we titled what the women are doing over there as low value rage. They don't have a title for what they're going through when they realize that men don't see them the way they see themselves. All they homegirls that were blowing smoke up their rear end, heterosexual men don't agree, right? All that pleasantly plump and all that other men that they want don't agree, right? They don't have a term for when they come to the realization of that. Exactly, Indigo. There is nothing that makes these women less of women. They hit 18, they're women, period. 21, 25, 30, 35. Nothing makes them less of a woman. That's why Mr. Z, that's why I purposely say little girls in women's bodies, petulant children, throwing temper tantrums. I purposely say that. We could call men boys as an insult all day. We question men's masculinity and manhood all day. Right now, we're having a conversation about what it costs to be a man, what you have to do, how you have to perform. Let's reframe that. How you have to perform to be considered a real man, a real ninja, right? And to be considered a real man, a real ninja, you have to be in the position to pay for everything, provide everything financially. Anything short of that, then you're not a real man, and the black community a real ninja. I agree with Neymar on this. Good term, better you. Good term. Be fit, right? And once again, if that's what it is, then that's what it is. But I think we need to own this and inform the young men that this is what's coming down the pike, and raise them that this is what it is, and don't believe the people on the left or the right when they try to tell you, no, 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 your manhood is ordained by God. You're a man. Now, you may not be a man like Jeff Bezos is a man. You may not be a man like Bill Gates or Robert Smith is a man, right? You may not be a man like Jay-Z is a man, right? You may not be a man like Jack Ma or Steve Jobs or name them, but you're still a man. Don't believe the right when they tell you that. And don't believe the left either when they're like, no, 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 you're a man. But because you know you lack these resources and you're not part of that like top 20% that can perform manhood and, like Khadijah says, quote unquote, patriarchy a particular way, you are over here regulated to the dudes that have to be out here with the LGBTQ people, women, and whatever type of man, woman, the non-binaries, the pansexuals, the, you know. Yes, they did. Lithium says China made Jack Ma disappear for criticizing the CCP policies. Right? Yes, they did. And he's not the only one. In China, just because you're a billionaire don't mean nothing. We said shut up. That's what we meant. Right? In America, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, particularly Elon, Jeff Bezos bought a whole goddamn newspaper on y'all ass just so he could talk. Right? Elon Musk stayed doing interviews, criticizing this, criticizing that, which, by the way, I'm not saying that I'm against that. But in China, they say, wait, you think you're a billionaire? That means something? Watch this. Oh, dude, you must think we're America. Right? Name is that the TikTok guy? And Name says Josai also is G's we'll say female dog as well. Wait. How does Larry June say it? Itch. Yitch? He says yitch or itch? Yitch? I think he says yitch. Shout out to the Bay Area. Boy, the freaking lingo in the words and the wordplay. I don't think the Bay Area gets enough credit for their slang. The Bay Area, from E40 to Larry June to, well, isn't Too Short from the Bay too? Like, I'm telling you, the Bay Area, goddamn. Right? The brothers and the sisters, but definitely the brothers in the Bay. You know, Mrs. E's 37. Since I was a kid, the Bay Area in the slang, Jesus Christ. Oh, the Brooklyn Nets. Okay. I got my Chinese oligarchs mixed up. Thank you, Nema. And Nema says Sai is the owner of the Brooklyn Nets. Okay. So, you know, on that note, we'll pause right here. I got to make a hard stop. Yeah, everyone. So, you know, I guess, you know, sorry to the young men for nobody telling you or whoever didn't tell you. Shout out to all the men, particularly young men that got the memo. Yeah, it costs to be a man. And, you know, and if you're not paying 100% of the bills, then Negro, you ain't no man. Right? If you cannot afford to pay all the bills, then you ain't a man. If you can't afford to make sure your lady does not work and does not have to lift a finger, then you're not a man. Well, you can consider yourself a man in training, but you're not a man. And so that would mean what percentage of men aren't men? Particularly, you know, we know that 75% of mothers work, give or take a percentage here or there. Let's say a good 60, maybe 65% of them actually have to work. So about 2/3 of men that are coupled up with those women aren't real men, give or take. A percentage here or there. Ugh, ain't looking good, y'all. All right, everyone. So we'll pause right here. Y'all have a great, great, great rest of y'all day. I will try to stream a little bit later on tonight. And we will be speaking about Khadijah's hetero pessimism and the video she reviewed speaking about hetero pessimism, or the podcast she reviewed speaking about hetero pessimism. Um, yeah, and I thought it was very interesting. Shout out to Khadijah for bringing this into our lexicon. Sometimes you got to shout these people out. And yeah, we're going to speak about this. We're going to speak about what hetero pessimism is, what it looks like, and then we're going to give our critique and our take. And I think I'm going to play with that and let it marinate. And we're gonna sit down and consider this for a while, and maybe we do a stream again about this a few months later, so that we can see if what we thought changed any bit. Yeah. So we'll not give our initial reaction to that, but we will listen to this, and then we'll think about it and talk about it, and then we'll leave it for a good 3-6 months, and then we'll think about it and talk about it again. All right, on that note, everyone, y'all have a great, great rest of y'all day. We'll pause right here. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. Shout out to the brothers that understand that yeah, you're a resource provider, and that's about it, and everything else is extra. Shout out to Obsidian. When Obsidian said that, I was like, harsh but true. Like, right? Yeah, that's what all the other stuff, all the niceties and all the other stuff are extra. Well, right. So y'all have a great rest of y'all day. And Mr. Z out. All right, everyone.